So now let's just get into Morph Market. So when you jump on Morph Market, morphmarket.com, and I'm here in the US, so I'm gonna, kind of look at the US side of things. There are a bunch of different categories of animals you can pick from. I'm only going to focus on ball pythons because that's my bread and butter. Um, so we jump into ball pythons, and you are going to see this super crazy, overwhelming list of all of the different genes that they currently have on there with all of these different color icons. Um, the icon key, I guess, is down here. Um, Basically, next to each gene, you have all these different colors. The incomplete and dominant genes are in blue and purple. So let's take yellow belly here. There are 2,000 plus single gene yellow belly animals listed on Morph Market currently. That doesn't mean that they only have yellow belly. It just means they only have one copy of yellow belly. So these could be yellow belly Mojaves. They could be yellow belly Enchis. So it doesn't mean that they're all just single gene yellow bellies. They're just snakes that only have one copy of yellow belly. And then there's also 200 plus yellow belly snakes that are super, which means they're ivory, which is a um, super yellow belly, which means it's an all white snake with black eyes. It's basically a black-eyed Lucy. Um, and then you come down here to the recessive genes, and you have, yellow for possible het, orange for het, and pink for visual. Um, if you don't understand what any of that means, take a look at my recessive gene video. It explains it really in layman's terms. Um, but let's take piebald here because it's a very popular recessive trait. So there are 1,500 plus visual piebalds on Morph Market right now, meaning snakes that physically you can see the piebald gene. And then next to that in orange, there are 1,400 plus snakes that are het for piebald. And then over here, you have 700 snakes that are possible het for piebald, which means they may or may not carry the gene. You will not know until you breed the snake. Um, and that is just the basic layout to tell you, what you're looking at and how many of each gene there are. The next part of that is you can actually click on these numbers. So let's take Mojave, for instance. There are 66 super Mojave snakes on Morph Market. Once I click on that, it will take you to a list of every single super Mojave snake listed currently that is for sale. If there's a very small amount of snakes, like 10 snakes that are available to purchase, sometimes Morph Market automatically shows you the recently sold snakes too, just because there aren't that many to list. So that'll say sold. It won't do it with this gene. Let me see if it does. It'll show you the on hold ones too, which is what this yellow banner is. But if the snake is sold, it'll have a little red tag up there. But we'll get into that later. So this will show you when you click on the purple super tag for a gene, it'll bring you to a list of every single snake that has super Mojave in it. This one, for instance, has super Mojave and GHI. Now, let's see, most of these are all just single genes. This is possible vanilla. This is het red xanthic. And then you can go through the list and you can sort them by least expensive. Put the cheapest ones first. You can sort them by most expensive. You can sort them by sometimes, which is very useful, is the oldest birth, which means it's the oldest snake available. And right now there's, a female that is for sale that was born in 2019. So let's click on her because coming by older females isn't always common. So now we are on this page for this individual super Mojave female. Female is denoted by, the female symbol here, but it's also in pink. The boys are blue, the girls are pink. It's easier to tell. So it shows that up top. The next thing they show is traits, and it lists every single trait here. This one is only super Mojave, so it only has that, and it shows it in purple. it will pull up another snake later that shows multiple genes. Domestically produced origin means that it was captive bred and born in the United States. It doesn't mean that this individual seller bred the snake, it just means they were born here. But because it has the exact birth date, I would assume this person bred it. The weight is 644 grams. This is probably accurate because this is actually the day, this is the day I'm recording this video, and this is the day it was listed. So more than likely, this is accurate, but you probably want to ask the breeder. If the listing has been active for a couple months, the weight may not be updated. I've actually contacted people about a few snakes, and they were 100 or 200 grams bigger than when it was originally listed. This shows you the seller. This shows you where the snake's located, the asking price, the shipping prices. Shipping prices vary. This number is very, for me anyways, it's not a definite because, if you want to buy a huge female, these prices are going to be a lot more expensive. This is basically like smaller hatchling juvenile snake prices for shipping from most places. This is when the snake was first posted, and then this is when it was last updated. Last updated can mean a number of things. It can mean like if there was a price update. It can mean if there was a change to the text. It could mean when the animal was relisted, because most of these listings can be renewed after 30 days to kind of get it to the back of the front of the list of snakes when you're searching Morph Market. And this is just what the seller named the snake when they were listing it in their inventory. Here is a little description that the seller writes telling you about the snake. Sometimes people put a ton of info in there, sometimes it's very little. And this big blue button here, Inquire to Buy, is what you're gonna press on if you want to contact the seller to buy it. So if we do that, it's gonna pop up this little text box here. Type in your question here. You have to click on this check mark box and then hit send. A little pet peeve of mine and probably most breeders is if the snake is still listed on there, it's most likely for sale. Don't waste my time or anybody else's time sending in me an email saying, is the snake still available? If it's listed, it's most likely available. So just start with a different question so we're not exchanging needless emails. Say, what's shipping to me? What's shipping costs to my zip code? I'd like to buy this now. Anything else other than is the snake still available? So, the conversation path is a little further down the line, and you're not wasting points of contact between you and the seller. And then down here, this is kind of a social media thing where you can like the snake. You can save the snake into your saved list, which I can show you in a little bit here. I've never actually used a report. I don't know why you would need to report a snake unless you thought, I don't know really why you would report that. You can also share it to Facebook. This calculate button is extremely useful, and I'll get into more of that in a little bit. But calculate, you click on it, and it pulls up the genes of that snake, and it puts it into the calculator. So up here, it calculates Super Mojave times normal because you didn't put another parent in there. But if you click up here, it gives you the option to kind of play with that. So I'll show you that in a little bit too. And then it shows the store's policy, and then it shows you a little bit about the breeder. And then it gives you some other snakes that are similar to it. If we jump back to, if you hit browse here, it takes you back to that huge master list of snakes. And let's go back to Mojave, but only click on the single gene Mojaves. This is when you're going to start seeing a bunch of different genes thrown into the snake. Let's do this guy right here because it looks like, yeah, they're all just incomplete dominant genes. So this is a blackhead Mojave HRA snake. So all three of those genes are listed here in blue because they're incomplete or co-dominant genes. Um, you can click on any single one of these genes and it'll take you to a list of all of the snakes with that specific gene. So if we click on Mojave, it's going to take us back to the list of Mojaves. If we click on HRA, it's going to take us back to a list of everything that has HRA in it. We'll stay here for a minute and we will go back to this calculator to show you how the calculator works now that we have a couple more genes.